What's that sound? Where? It's aliens and they're living in your town. Damn. They have arrived. What? They're all around. So many aliens living in your town.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Weird and Whatever podcast. How the heck is everybody doing?
Really good.
Doing well.
Let's take roll call. Denny's.
What's up?
Mr. Beckett.
Present.
Vicky, yay!
I'm here.
Woo. She's here.
I heard it had a nice little sound effect when I wasn't here last week.
We're very techie these days. We're moving up in the world. Mr. Beckett, you're dressed like you are getting ready to go to something on a yacht of some sort. What's going on?
I came straight from work.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? How Beckett's dressed?
Yes. Very yachty.
You look like a professor of like some sort of science.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you look good, as always.
Thank you.
So let's jump right into this stuff. Big news of this week, we've got the UFO footage that was released from 2015. Have you guys seen this?
I haven't.
You have not. Have you seen it, Vicky?
No, I saw the clip. I didn't actually click on it, though, but I saw that it was on my news feed.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and play. These are the pilots that see the whatever it is. They're like, oh my gosh, what is that? And they lock in on it. I guess there's this thing where when they're flying the plane, you can lock in on something. When they lock in on it, kind of like in Top Gun.
Like a missile?
Kind of. They can track it better, I guess.
Yeah, they can track it, and what it does is it just keeps it on the screen and keeps it kind of like autopiloted towards.
Listen how excited these pilots are.
Nickel 6-1 Tango, Roger, over.
Oh, got it! Woohoo!
Roger, they're troubleshooting as soon as I
Did you box moving target?
602.
No, I took an auto track. Oh, okay. Oh my gosh, dude. Wow, look at it fly!
What do you guys think?
That was loud enough to be a Beckett laugh.
Vicky with the zinger. That was pretty loud. I apologize to anyone whose ears are bleeding now. Yeah, so since we've started this podcast, the last month or so, the number one email I have gotten has been pilots saying, dude, I've seen something out there, and it is bizarre. We don't know what the hell it is. It's awesome. It's great stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you think your main source would be pilots because they're in the sky all the time. They have like a better vantage point of catching like some sort of weird phenomenon.
Yeah, they're patrolling basically.
So would you guys want to do something up in the NASA area? If we can get the
Up
clearance?
at the Space Coast?
If we can get to the clearance? Someone emailed me and said, I can get you into NASA. I think they might have been lying. I don't know. I don't know.
They meant like the gift shop.
Might as well call their bluff. Go for it.
Yeah, your voice is way loud. Let me hear that beautiful bassy voice. Come on, Becky, give me something. This is Virginia's mic. So,
Check 1, 2.
Yeah, we have her low because she shrills.
I mean, she shouts when she talks. I got a lot of balls because I do the same exact thing.
You guys just did it for my laugh.
I think we could take a tour of NASA.
Yeah, I would love to talk to somebody from NASA who would actually open up and be honest about what the hell's going on. Although we have talked to some people who said, yeah, it's on a case-by-case basis. The one floor doesn't know what the other floor is doing, and that's how NASA rolls.
And most people that talk, they're ones that are former NASA employees.
And a lot of times they're shamed because they've said something or they've seen something.
Yeah, I think they just worry about losing credibility amongst their community.
But if you're in your 60s, you're in your 70s, and that's when you see a lot of these astronauts and a lot of these NASA
At that
people,
point.
a lot of these military, they're going to go ahead and say, hey, I seen something.
Right.
Imagine carrying that around with you, and then like at the end, you want to express it or tell somebody at least.
So that clip was from 2015. That was a Navy jet. So a bunch of dudes were in there and checking that out. What's interesting is in 2012, they stopped a program that had all kind of investigating of any kind of UFOs, anything like that. They stopped all that funding. Why would they stop that? Is it not?
They attributed it to trying to reduce how much their budget was, because I think it was $22 million that they gave to them monthly, and they were just like, that's an expense we can completely eliminate. That was one of the reasons that they were saying, but who knows, maybe to also keep the truth hidden.
Vicky, what do you say about all these military people coming out? And they say, look, this is real.
Right.
Is that credible enough?
I mean, it's credible that they believe it's real. I still have such a distrust for the government and what kind of experimental aircraft they might be flying out there and not wanting anyone to know. So it's perfectly plausible to me that it's just the government running tests on their different types of equipment.
Futuristic aircraft.
And they don't want any other countries to know about it.
But what about military people who say, okay, I just saw that. There's nothing on this planet that can go that fast. I know that because I'm in the military.
But if it's experimental, maybe they don't know about it.
Maybe they don't have that top-notch clearance.
Now, I put more credence into people who have, the close encounters where they actually see some type of alien creature and things like that. I don't think the government would go so far as to put them in costumes in order to test this equipment out. They could, but
they'd have to be good costumes.
Yeah, they'd have to be really good. But as far as the sightings and things like that, it absolutely could be our own aircrafts, and they just don't know about it.
I'd peg Beckett to be the naysayer on that conversation.
Yeah, you're the skeptic on this one.
I am on this. I am, just because of my distrust of the government.
You really don't like that? I thought Denny's didn't like the government.
When it comes to this stuff, there's just, like I said, like close encounters where people have had physical contact and they have memories of tests that were done on them and things that, of that nature. I put more credence in than I do simply sightings of certain types of aircraft.
Okay, Beckett, debate her right now.
Well, like I said before, I think I gave the scale. On the scale of lizard people to aliens, I believe the alien things for sure. It definitely could be military. I think what you're getting at is if it's that far, it's one thing for something to be like unique and different. It's another thing for something to be like even the military guys, like that's over and beyond anything that we would have even within 100 years from now. Like it's that crazy in terms of the movement.
And some military people will say, look, I'm serious. These planes or these ships, whatever they're doing, it's doing stuff nobody has ever seen before. So it would have to be highly classified within the highly classified.
Right.
Totally.
Now, Vicky, let's change gears here. You had a very interesting experience with the paranormal.
Yes, and I have to say before I start is that things usually do not happen in my house. It's a pretty, spirit-free zone, but I had a house guest this weekend who probably came with a few of her own ghosts, and they managed to slide through the security. But my daughter was getting ready for band practice. She had a competition on Saturday, and she had everything. She had her band bag on the table, and it was almost time for us to go, and she couldn't find her phone. And we literally traced every single step in the entire house. Now, that band bag, I personally picked up that band bag no less than 4 times. Went through every single bit of the band bag, moved it from one location to another about 4 times. And she had picked up the band bag, and so did our house guest. Picked it up as well. And so I was in where she keeps her clothes in one room, and she was upstairs with the house guest looking her actual bedroom. I was actually bent over in her closet looking on the floor, and I heard her say, "Mom, what? You found it? Did you find it?" And I'm like, "I'm in the closet, And she comes down. She goes, "Did you find it?" I said, "No, I'm in your closet." She goes, "I heard you. A woman said, 'Lensley, I found your phone.'" And the house guest heard it too. I'm like, "It wasn't me." We walked back into the dining room, and there under the band bag is the phone. The band bag that I moved at least 4 times.
But did you actually see it move?
No, I didn't see. I knew there was nothing underneath that band bag. That I will testify in a court of law. There was nothing underneath that band bag.
Because you had moved it like 4 times
right,
before.
Right, 4 times. It had moved in different locations. I moved that bag. And when we came in, I could see like just the tip of the phone sticking out from underneath the band, not in the band bag, but underneath the band bag.
All right, let's play naysayer. We got a naysayer that lives up in Port St. Lucie. Okay. Always emailing the podcast. Let's say, okay, Vicky, you're a mom. You're a teacher. You got a lot in your mind. You clearly moved it, and you don't remember doing that. What the hell, psychic lady?
Yeah, no, as a mom, I wanted to get her out the door into band practice on time. So if I had accidentally touched the phone or did something, I definitely, would have acknowledged that. And like I said, things generally do not happen in my home. For that to happen, we were all sitting there with our mouths open.
So the first place you investigated at my, one of my places, the first one with the little girl with the toys and all that stuff, right. I was sitting on my couch. And I think I've told this story before, but we had this like shelf square thingy made out of like wire. It was hanging on the wall, just sitting there. And this was in the height of all of the ghosts and all of the crazy crap that was going on. It just flew off the thing. I mean, it was like somebody sprung it off or shot it off the wall.
Right.
So I'm with you. I believe you. I can tell by Beckett's face. He thinks you're crazy.
I mean, Vicky's gained a lot of credibility with me as I've gotten to know her better. So, that's certainly more believable than some of these other crazy things that I've heard.
But see, now my question to all of you, let's give me the kudos to say that I'm telling the truth.
I definitely, by the way, I believe you're telling the truth.
Where did that phone go? Explain to me how wherever she left it. Now, remember, it was two paranormal experiences. It was the phone, and it was also the woman's voice saying, "Lindsley, I found it," because I was the only person downstairs, and I was bent over in the closet. There's no way that I said, "Lindsley, I found it," because I hadn't found it. So there's two things that went on. There was a woman's voice, and then there was the phone. But where did that phone go?
Where did the phone go?
It's perplexing.
I'm with you, Vicky. I don't want to do one story, one up, but I got a phone. I got a call from my dead grandmother on my cell phone, and this is a new phone. There's no way they could have that number. Explain that. Totally new phone, and I got a phone call from my dead grandmother. Beckett, I'm not lying. Explain it.
I can't. That's the point.
Well, but so seriously, I want naysayers to tell me what could possibly have happened. How does my dead grandmother call my cell phone, and she's been dead, doesn't have my new number? How does that even happen?
Did she call from one of her former numbers?
Yeah, well, it was in my phone. Grandma, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe she heard weird and whatever and rolled over in her grave.
That's.
It was a butt dial.
I hope she's not rolling over in her grave. Isn't that if you roll over in your grave? Isn't that? Oh man, I am blasting everybody with my voice.
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything.
Next time,
no, I'm just kidding.
Interrupt me next time. I apologize for the first 15 minutes of this podcast. The levels are a little off. But is it rolling over in your grave? Doesn't that mean it's
like you're angry about it?
It's
right?
not good, right?
Yeah, it's not good.
I hope, Grandma, please don't roll over in your grave.
You don't think anyone got her phone number?
I have no idea how.
But then even if they got that phone number, it became their phone number. What are the chances of them calling this guy?
Yeah, and the other thing too is there's nobody in her family that would ever be able to get my number. It just doesn't make any sense.
Was there any message?
No message.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I actually know someone who, when their father passed away, a month or two after he passed away, there was a call from his cell phone that had been shut off to her, and a message was left on the voicemail from him.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
and
the
they
kind of
kept
stuff
it for
you want.
years. They might still have it on their phone, but they kept it for years and years. But it came from his phone that was turned off, and he actually left a message.
What were you doing when this call came in?
I don't know.
Were you asleep?
I didn't pick up the phone.
Did you screen it?
What do you mean?
You saw it ringing and you didn't pick it up?
No, I looked down on my phone eventually and saw that my grandmother had called. Kind of like how that phone call's right there.
And you're like, how?
Yeah, exactly.
Were you pissed off you missed the call? Would you have answered it?
Well, yeah, I would have answered it because I would like to have seen what was going on. But I've had weird things like I always wonder if somebody listens to the show, if they're able to screw with me and do stuff. I mean...
Plus, you wonder if scammers
are
going through people's family histories and seeing their phone numbers and then thinking you're more likely to pick up.
Yeah. I
mean,
mean,
seriously, somebody needs to get a life if that's what they did, and then it was a prank.
Oh, there are so many scams out there. I had somebody texting me as my brother from his old phone saying he was in another country. He was in South Africa. He was going to get an operation or he's going to die, and they needed Publix gift cards.
They needed iTunes.
Or iTunes, yeah.
That's what they wanted the payment in, was iTunes gift cards.
Jeez.
Yeah. And
so
I was
obviously
falling
we
for
did it.
Like a dumbass, I was falling for it until my sister said, "Hey, that's a scam." But that's how they get people.
That's what they do. They prey on that.
They prey on your family. Let's say a scammer, "Hey, Vicky, we've got Lindsley, and we've got her and South America, almost like the movie Taken." Mm-hmm. You're not going to think straight.
Yeah, they do that with the elderly a lot, which is messed up.
Right.
Yes.
I think that's who they try because they're confused originally by technology.
Totally.
Yeah, they had my mom freaked out because somebody called about, "Oh, you need to go to your computer because it's been compromised. We need you to sign on." I'm like, "Mom, you don't even have a computer. Don't panic." Because she obsessed over it for like 4 days. I'm like, Mom, they can't scam you. You don't have a computer.
But how would you know that unless somebody tells you? You know, that's
Right.
what they get you.
Well, I hadn't talked to my brother in a while, and I couldn't get a hold of my brother, so it was
That kinda
bizarre.
made, yeah.
That's what made it so believable. It was almost like they knew. It was weird.
Is that a paranormal thing that happens often? Is that they try to communicate through like a phone line or something? But that kind of makes sense to me because it's like through waves. Like you figure like if anyone could figure it out,
It's through frequencies.
through a
It's
frequency.
happened before. It's not typical,
Yeah.
but the typical way to communicate is through dreams. That's the easiest way.
Oh, I had the weirdest dream last night.
All
All right,
Sorry,
get it.
I don't
Let's
wanna
get into it,
digress.
Beckett.
No, let's go ahead. Let's derail the entire conversation. No, I'm just kidding.
It better be good too.
Yeah, I mean, you've shut down the podcast for this dream. It better be hot. It better be sexy.
It better be steamy.
So I
Yes.
don't really lucid dream. I mean, I sometimes remember my dreams, but it's the end of my season. I'm stressed out. There's a lot of stuff going on. Blah blah blah. And I had a vivid dream last night that I had a new business and I was selling suicide nets around buildings. And what I would do is I would go pitch these skyscrapers, these tall buildings, to have these suicide nets. So if someone ever tried, basically my pitch is like you could make your building suicide proof. And like if something, God forbid, happened like 9/11 or a fire in your building or something like that, like those people could live, And then we had like an architectural way to like make the skirt of the building like look kind of like hidden. Anyways, I woke up, I told like all my friends because I don't usually, and it was like vivid dream.
Okay, we heard the dream. Now let's all vote. Was it worth shutting the podcast?
If I had to interpret it, I think it's sex related.
Totally sex. And it has
Sex?
It's repressed.
sex and robots. And
I just-
exactly what that's to do
I
with.
just want to make sure I'm not suicidal.
No. They're
You're-
never that literal.
No, but on a serious note, is there anybody that you know in your life that might be?
Not that I know of, but the thing that scares me about suicide is I feel like that happens with suicide. Is that
A lot of times the ones who actually do commit suicide don't tell people ahead of time.
right?
They just do it.
When I was growing up, and I don't know if this is true or not, but this is what I was always made to believe. Sometimes when suicide's about to happen, the individual is kind of relieved, and then their spirits
They're actually happy
they're
for.
uplifting. I again, this is what I was taught growing up, and I don't mean to offend anybody. If anyone has any kind of insight like that, please feel free to email the show, because we do get, believe it or not, we get quite a few suicide type emails. It's heavy stuff out there, man. I gotta tell you.
Maybe if you interpret it less literally, and are you taking a plunge into something? Are you diving into a new venture, something where you think you need a safety net?
Yeah, but that's kind of I kind of always do that.
All right, well then I'll just go fuck off then. Sorry for the F-bomb.
I do risky stuff.
I dropped an F-bomb, I think, last
All
week.
right,
It's
I think
all-
we're cool then.
It's all good. Vicky, what are your thoughts on ghost cars? You ever hear of this?
Ghost what?
Ghost cars?
Ghost cars.
So
Yeah.
what are your
No.
thoughts on a car vanishing? Or
car
just
vanishing? Well,
appearing?
Appearing or vanishing, well, it's no more impossible than the phone appearing and disappearing.
So then I think it calls into question then parallel universes in which an item would disappear and then reappear.
Or it could be a place memory. It could simply be, depending on what the car is, that car had been here at some point, and then some people believe that the Earth records everything that we do on a daily basis, and certain places record it more than others, depending on what the makeup is in your ground, like when there's a lot of limestone and things like that. And then when the conditions are right, it's like somebody presses play, and a scene will replay itself. So if a car all of a sudden appears that no one can say, maybe that car existed at one point, and it was in that particular location so much that it recorded it, and it's such an impression that all of a sudden the universe pressed play, and there it was.
Because this clip is from Russia, and this car's at this red light, and it makes a left, and there's other cars making the left with it, and out of the blue, it's either trick photography or it's a ghost car. There's something weird from another universe or another parallel. I don't know what the hell
but the
it
guy
is.
slams on his brakes.
I believe producer Angelica is playing that. Yeah, you guys have to watch this. Please look this up. I believe if you type in Ghost Car 2012 Russia, it should come right up. I can't explain it.
So the people watching at home, they have like a split screen, like that final episode of Bachelor, where like they can see us talking, and then she's playing the
She's
thing.
playing it right now. I can
That's
see
awesome.
it. There's no split screen. I think she's playing the whole.
We're not that
clip.
advanced.
Yeah, we're not that advanced. We're not like the Bachelor, Beckett.
So the car, I mean, was it a current make and model or was it an older vehicle?
It looked like a current
Yeah,
car.
it looked current. It's hard to tell because I mean it's very quick.
And we were watching this one kid. He's on YouTube and he makes these videos where it looks like all of this magic stuff is really happening. It doesn't even look fake. It's amazing. He does it.
He
at
was
home.
super popular on Vine. He's actually in commercials now
I think
on television.
I know who you guys are
but
talking about.
he makes things appear and he
Yeah.
turns things.
And when you're at that level, I mean, we're living in a
I
time.
mean, that looks real to
It
me.
does look real.
I know I say this a lot, and I sound like a broken record. We're living in a time where we don't know what the hell is real anymore. You could literally, you could have somebody cheating on their wife, and they could talk themselves out of it now. No, man, it's a new app. Instagram's got. It's the cheater app. They impose people. Nothing is real anymore.
You're right. They have apps that impose you with celebrities. They have everything.
Or they can have you making love to a goat, and it looks real, and 80% of the people are going to say, "Damn, Denny screws goats."
Now, the
Yeah.
first thing, if I was going to figure out if this is real, I'd go and look and see if there were any accidents in that area in the last couple years, depending on the make and model of the car. If I were going to fake it and I wanted it to be a little more believable, I would have used an older car.
To make it seem like
Yeah.
an older
I don't
spirit.
know. Not to get into a ghost car debate here, but what happened? What if it was like a car from 1998 and someone got killed in that?
Well,
could
that's what I'm
totally
saying.
work.
You can research back to 1998, okay, and see whether there was an
So
accident.
if you use an
'cause-
old one,
Right. And in general, you're probably going to have a place memory of something that was a little more tragic. So I would assume there might have been an accident involved with the car or whatever. And anything that if it's new enough for you to research back and see if there was actually an accident. I'm just saying if I were faking it, I would have used an older model car.
The reason why I'm bringing this up because there was a story that there was a ghost girl. Do you remember where that was at? That someone's driving along the highway. This is about a couple days ago.
it was up for like a week. This guy's driving through the road, and I mean, for a split second, this girl appears, and then he passes. He's got a camera on the front and back of his car. It's pretty.
Yeah, Singapore.
Yeah, it's hard to say if it's.
Crazy.
Why does he have a camera on the front and back of his car? That would be my first
Only
question.
thing I can think of is, but that raises questions.
Well,
but
a
Uber,
lot of people have it now just because of. I mean, we don't know. I don't know if he's in Uber or not.
I know Ubers, have it, but I didn't think they had. I thought they had it inside their car, not looking.
Yeah,
Out.
again, Angelica is playing it, so you can see.
and we can
it.
put all
That's-
these on the Weird and Whatever Facebook.
Yes, that is what we're talking about here. Of course, it doesn't. Well, I'll show it to you later, but that's the angle. That's the angle they got going on there. Interesting stuff. Easy to fake. It's all too easy to fake. That's what sucks
Right.
about so
Well, the
much of
problem
it.
is when you actually see something with your own eyes, no one believes you.
No one
'cause
would believe
there's
you.
so much to sift through.
Well, that's what's going to suck if we go out and do a seance or go out and look for aliens. We find something. We all have to make sure we have our story straight, and we all are
We'll have to do a
videotaping.
blood pact.
Yes, I'm in. You want to do that right now?
But I think
down.
the important thing of that would be is if we had multiple cameras at different angles.
Yeah, I mean it's
And-
one angle.
Yeah.
and that's why it could be fake, and it's easy to fake. And I think you're not able to tell the make and model because it happens so
It's
quick.
so quick, yeah.
So any research you would do, it would probably fall short.
Have you ever seen anyone ghost drive the whip?
What, Ghost Drive the Whip? Yeah, that was a viral.
Jay, have you seen that?
I don't know what you know.
Where the car's rolling and they're walking next
It's,
to it.
it's like what they do in rap videos. They go out and the car's just driving and they hop out and dance.
Oh, I got you.
It looks fun.
You guys want to get weird and ghostly and sexual?
Yeah, whatever.
All right. Okay, dear weird and whatever. I feel like you guys are the only people I can talk to about this. Oh, I like that. We're the weirdos you can come to.
Yep.
That's true.
That goes right. There's zero judgment over here. Well, there's judgment, but we'll still.
Daddy's cast no stones.
I keep having sex dreams where I have sex. I'm sorry, let me read this again. I keep having sex dreams where ghosts have sex with me. When I wake up, I realize that an orgasm has taken place. Hey. This happens a lot. It's only when I have dreams about ghosts. Am I just a perv who gets off on weird things, or are ghosts and spirits making this happen? Love the podcast, Darren from Wellington.
Don't question it, man. Just roll with it.
Well, I think he wants to understand it.
He wants to know why.
I think he's into it. I think he's,
Yeah, I mean, obviously he is.
I mean, do ghosts make you have wet dreams?
They could.
They could.
They could.
Is that just a
in
theory?
In theory, they could.
How?
I haven't investigated this phenomena myself. But
In theory, how would a
because
nocturnal...
if they have enough energy to, they can interact with you. I myself have been hit, pushed, scratched. So if they could do that, I suppose they could do something else.
So technically, a human could fall in love with a ghost then,
Yes, many people have through the Ouija board.
which I think we need to do. Come on, Vicky, one round of the Ouija. I think that's what we need on this podcast. We got Beckett's got to earn his stripes.
Are you kidding? There's no way he'd do it.
Come on.
Wow, jeez. Now I getting challenged.
I'll get emails. Quit bullying Beckett. Here's another email. Hey KVJ, this email blah 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 on the Weird and Wonderful podcast. Last week we talked about, Vicky, our last meals. What would you have if you were on death row and you got your final meal? And my whole thing was, if you knew you're gonna die like that, I wouldn't even be hungry. I wouldn't even give a shit what I'm eating. Do you have a last meal?
I guess if I had to pick one, I guess it would be anything seafood.
Really?
Wow.
Like a popcorn shrimp from Red Lobster?
Lobster. I think I just go for the lobster.
Everyone else talks Red Lobster. I think I'm the only person that likes Red Lobster.
Does that place still exist?
It
Yes.
does, actually.
It's been there for so long.
Wow.
And they're not a sponsor. I'm just talking about them strictly for the love of the game.
So I was waiting for my friends to pull up in their car, and we had just left Red Lobster, and there was a guy in the parking lot feeding chicken to the ducks, and it like weirded me out so hard that I've never been back since
That does
then.
weird me out.
Well, that's not Red Lobster's fault.
No, it's totally not, but I feel bad that splashed onto their like good name.
On a side note, if you are a frequent Red Lobster person, they do have a rewards app now.
Oh, nice.
Just so you know. I'm on my second reward.
Look, I think we all could agree those cheddar biscuits. The
I'm
Red
not
Lobster,
above going. It's just been a while.
cheddar biscuits.
Those things are solid.
I think
solid. Those things are amazing.
They're solid.
I think I'd rather go to the DoubleTree than Red Lobster, to be quite candid.
Becky don't know about them cheddar biscuits. He don't know about them.
How long has it been since you had a cheddar biscuit?
It's been a while.
You and Kevin, man.
You guys are regimented.
But so this email has to do with the whole last meal. I talked about too how I don't think I like murderers getting a last meal, like what they want. They can have a meal, but they don't get sirloin. If you murdered 11 women and did terrible things to them, why do you get to get shrimp and sirloin and all that stuff?
I wonder when that started.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Good question.
That's
When did that start?
That's a great question. Well, maybe we have an answer. The last meal tradition started as a measure to prevent the souls of the deceased inmates from haunting the guards. Just wanted to let you know that tidbit of information. Interesting.
Well, that
I
was
was
a
just
waste of food.
Yeah.
Waste of food.
I was just gonna tell people like it's probably a way for people to morally to feel a little bit better because there's like a little humanity or niceness injected into something.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you're not being inhumane by giving them, Vienna sausages.
Kinda.
It's probably just
You're
an old
talking to the veg.
tradition.
Oh, that's true. Well, Vienna sausages are just awful.
Those are rough.
Those are
They
rough.
come in a liquid, I believe, too.
Oh, they've got
That
that
gel.
that gel. That grosses me out.
Those things.
The gel on the Vienna sausage, and the other thing that always grosses me out is the hologram-looking stuff on roast beef. You ever see roast
There's like
beef?
speckles of metal or something.
It looks like a rainbow in the
Yeah.
middle of.
Yeah.
What is that? It's great.
I think it's just glistening.
Yeah, or if you're eating a cheeseburger and you get one of those hard bally things.
Ugh.
All right,
Bone fragment.
enough of
Jeez.
grossing everyone out. Denny's had a little segment he wants to try out today.
Okay.
Yeah, not so much. I found a couple. Well, it's not so much a segment as it is. I found these cool articles.
Okay.
And I just kind of wanted to get some feedback from you guys.
All right, let's get into it.
And firstly, I found this one. It's incredible facts that seem like they cannot possibly be real.
Yeah, this
but
is
they
the one.
are. So this first one, and I just want to get your guys' feedback whether you think it's cool or not, or if it's a good one or not. You can let me know. I'm sure you will.
There's a lot of hype, Denny's.
Get out of here. The sun may be older than the earth, but water we drink is older than the sun. What do you guys think? Water has been around the planet floating.
I've never seen Vicky look mad before. Are you mad or
No,
you
I'm confused.
Confused. Okay.
Yes, water has been around. The ice.
Okay.
Denny's, where are you going with this?
So,
Okay,
you guys
so you're
obviously
saying
were-
the planet was all ice before the sun came along.
it melted,
So, okay.
created water, thing that gives us life.
All right, give us a
I mean, that's pretty mind-blowing, but
blow us.
I get it.
Blow our minds
I'm
again.
unconfused. I got it.
Yeah, blow our minds.
Alaska is the most northern and eastern and western state in the U.S. It meets the criteria for all three of those.
Okay, northern.
Eastern and western.
All right, what else you got?
Well,
No, what I keep
stealing my fanfare, dog. I'm just saying.
I love these facts. These are great.
All right, so there is 3.04 trillion trees. There are more trees on Earth than there are stars in our galaxy, the Milky Way.
That I'm surprised on.
There's approximately 400 billion stars.
It's weird when you're out in the woods, out in the middle of nowhere, looking up and seeing all the stars, man. Makes a man feel real small.
Well, it's cool. I mean, West
Some
Palm.
men are smaller than others.
We got
Yes.
light pollution here, obviously, because we're in a
Yeah.
metropolitan area. But if you go out to the woods in the deep dark, it really is insane how black it is.
I was up at Gainesville when I was 19 years old. My buddies were up at UF, and I went up there just to kind of hang out. And I remember, it was Gainesville. It's not like it's out in the mountains or anything. And the stars out there were going off, and no one ever believes me, but I saw 5 shooting stars in one night. Does that sound that unbelievable?
In Gainesville?
In Gainesville. I mean, I was drunk, and that was when I first started drinking, but I swear to you on everything, I saw 5 shooting stars. Is that... Every time I tell that story, it's like, that's bullshit.
I mean, I think you were cool if you only saw 4, man.
4 is way more believable.
Yeah.
You're probably right. I probably saw 1. I was so drunk, I was seeing double.
What about this shocking fact? There are more people living in Tokyo, the capital of Japan, than the entire country of Canada, the second biggest country after Russia. What do you guys think?
Wow.
Well, that makes sense because there's a lot of Canada where nobody lives. So that one's believable to me.
Yeah, Denny's.
Still pretty amazing.
Yeah, you got one more.
I like that.
It better be. This one really better blow our minds. I mean, it's gotta be good.
The sun's atmosphere extends far beyond the Earth. So basically, we live inside the sun's atmosphere.
All right, Vicky, let me ask you this: what was better, Denny's facts, Beckett's dream? It's all on you.
I got one last one for you guys.
Okay.
Encore.
Yeah,
Encore. Yeah. Give
might-
us some more.
this might tip the scale.
Give us some more horseshit facts.
All right, last one, and I see where this is going. The Hubble Space Telescope actually looks back in time. So I've often debated time travel, as I just don't see how it can happen. Time travel, I think, is relative to the light, because if you look at the Earth from outer space, you're actually seeing it before the light hits the Earth. So you're seeing it before we down here would see it. So that's essentially the closest I think you can get to time travel. So the Hubble Space Telescope actually looks back in time. When it takes a picture of the galaxy 100 million light years away, we are seeing the galaxy as it looked 100 million light years ago.
That is true if you think about it, because Einstein's theory was that you couldn't travel any faster than the speed of light. It was impossible.
Exactly.
Unless you bended space, I think was
The only way to
theory.
bend space or bend light would be a black hole.
Black hole, right?
See,
Because
you-
of its density.
You bring up Einstein. I bring up Doc Brown. Back to the Future. Back to the Future was on over the weekend, and man, that movie is unbelievable. It's such a good movie, still to this day.
Numero uno is phenomenal, top notch.
Oh, Biff. You've all seen Back to the Future, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Biff's amazing.
Yeah.
It might be one
Biff's
of the,
awesome.
Might be one of the top 10 villain, maybe.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I just think he had a lot of range.
All right, as we were.
as we were.
I think that was good. I like Denny's. I think that could be a permanent. That could be a
All right, I'll
permanent-
bring some random
that could be
facts
like
to
a
you every
permanent-
week.
It could be a permanent bit.
And
I
then
love it.
we could have like a mind blown meter.
Yeah, I mean, we have an effect. I don't know what happened.
I did it a cappella, dog.
Let me hear that again.
Drop the mic.
Let me hear your acapella. Okay, very nice. No, actually, I'm just busting your balls. I like anything, anything and everything you guys bring in. Honestly, Mr. Beckett. Speaking of,
Yeah.
guess what time it is?
I think
It's
I have
time.
a couple notes.
It's time for Mr. Beckett's scary story.
How long is my story supposed to be?
It's supposed to be 6.5 minutes.
6.5 minutes.
No, it's supposed to be 30 seconds. Right? 30 seconds scary story.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Getting your
60 seconds. Okay.
30 seconds. But if you want to go 60,
Did you write it on a wedding invitation?
I got a couple notes. It's really funny.
okay. All right. Here we go. And go.
Okay. So it was really, really early morning, just outside of New York City, and me and my buddy were on my sailboat, bringing it back to Florida. Old sailboat, and it was like a fog over the harbor in New York City. So we weren't really sure what we were doing. It was an old boat, didn't have lifelines on it, whatever. It was a real creepy morning. You could hear like all the ferries running back and forth between Manhattan, going back and forth. Yeah, like all of those kind of noises. So my friend Travis is like, all right, are you sure you're confident about this? Because it's going to be our first day going out into the ocean. So it was real spooky. We push off the dock. We're going down the harbor. You can barely see the bridge going in the distance. You can see the Statue of Liberty. We're coming out. We're Coney Islands on the side. We're coming in the ocean. My alarm's going off of my boat for a depth sounder. My buddy Travis and I are like, look at each other like, what are we doing? We're going to get ourselves killed. And it was very low visibility, and I wasn't really rocking with like amazing instruments going back and forth. So we're scared, and we're like, all right, we're just going to go. We're going to go. We'll turn the spotlight on. And the next thing you know, we see like kind of in the distance something, and we thought we weren't really sure what it was. And then we look up, and all of a sudden we heard...
Oh, I see what he did there.
I was like, is this 30 seconds?
I'll tell you what, it was scary there at the end.
I mean, you definitely M. Night Shyamalan me at the end.
There was a twist. There was a twist.
I wasn't sure if I was getting in trouble for honking that horn.
Oh,
I could have done
mean-
it louder, but I didn't want to I know there's microphones.
no, it's actually lower than your laugh.
People are always mad about my laugh, so
No,
That was
you
good.
scared the
It's-
crap out of me.
It did.
I can't get scared. I've been scared so much today.
That's right.
I've been pied like 3 different times today.
can Angelica replay Jay Bird's reaction because it was amazing.
Yeah. I've definitely been scared a lot today. Well, very good, Mr. Beckett. I think, is that everybody?
Except for the bird.
The bird is next week. Oh, you're not going to be here next week, Vicky?
No.
Okay, well, we got to figure out our schedule. I really don't want to do another podcast without Vicky.
I know we got a lot of like sex talk.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah,
Hey, y'all were playing when I
three
was gone. I
ruffians.
get it.
yeah, because we really we toned it down for this one with the ghost of wet dream email. Let's see what else we got here. Vicky, didn't you have something else that you wanted to talk, or are you done?
I just, we've talked about signs before on the show, and I usually am more of a believer in like negative signs, like you shouldn't do something. But this past Sunday, I was, kind of upset, and I think I just texted somebody and I said, I think I've just given up all hope. And as I said that, this ginormous butterfly comes straight up, practically knocks me in the head, and then goes on its way. And then 2 days later, I had found a quote from Johnny Cash that talks about the past, and it said, "Don't forget the past," but it also says not to dwell on the past, and then to rebuild whatever. And I got irritated with this person, and I looked down at my phone. It had copied and pasted that in my message box to send to them. And so I said, hey, between the butterfly and I was getting ready to send this Johnny Cash quote again, and he said, yeah, that's the universe trying to tell you something, that you need to go ahead and stop not believing and have some faith, that things are going to work out. So I usually don't have those kind of things happen to me, honestly.
So I believe in signs too, to a certain extent. I've had good signs happen to me. I think I've told you guys about how I was on the phone with my sister talking about how I saw a red cardinal talking about my mom, and I was telling her this whole red cardinal story about my mom and my sisters in Oregon. And as I'm talking to her, looking out the window in a completely different area, I mean, where I had seen the red cardinal before, it was nowhere near. It was a different area. I talking to my sister, and all of a sudden, as I'm telling her about this red cardinal, literally, I'm saying red cardinal. I see a red cardinal come from the sky, land on the chair as I'm telling my sister, and just starts looking at me. Now, coincidence? Possibly. Probably, as the naysayers would say. But things like that, I just think give people hope. I've had good moments with stuff like that. I think sometimes you have to be open to that and look for it. Whether it's something that's just making me feel better while I'm here on Earth, I don't know, but it did. And I think those things are special.
Her story is great because I actually would have totally forgot about this if she hadn't told that story. I wanted to bring up the universe, and I'm curious what you think, but what everyone thinks, but especially Vicky. But do you think that the universe always needs to be in balance, right? Like, so there's signs maybe that the universe doesn't necessarily, it gives you or whatever, and like when, I guess my question, you hear about people that are motivating speakers and like whatever, and people almost gave up on a certain dream or an idea that they had, and they're like, you persevere, and like right after they were almost ready to give up is like when they like finally made it. So like, how do you balance where you feel like you're fighting the universe because like you have a lot of challenges, or how do you feel like you are recognizing and you're that the universe is trying to eliminate something in your life? Like maybe it's someone you're dating, or maybe, I was just talking to Josh Cohen the other day at lunch, and he was using the movie Castaway as an example. And he said that he was on that island, and his whole hope that he had was that FedEx package, right? And he wanted to bring back, and he came back, and his fiance was another guy, and like he was depressed. And that redhead that he met at the end of the movie at the intersection, it was like the universe is like the whole point of me going through all of this was to meet this person. And it's what the universe willed in a weird way.
But why, someone would argue, why would it just not do it in a quicker, easier fashion? Why does it have to always come with this big hoopla and all this other stuff when it could be just so streamlined?
But I think that might be part of what he was saying about the balance. There has to be some bad with the good. It can't always be good, and maybe that's why we have to jump through so many hoops. Like if my situation, if it works out the way I want it to, I've jumped through hoops for almost 20 years for this to happen. So if it really happens the way I want it to, I mean, I'm probably going to appreciate it a lot more than if it had worked out 20 years ago.
It's kind of also, to her point, I think it's the mental state that it puts you in. Like sometimes you're not ready to receive something, or someone else isn't ready to receive something. And what you had to go through makes it more sticky.
Oh, I mean, I completely agree with that. I think that's just with going through any kind of bad crap. You get your stripes, you get your scars. You're tough after that.
Right.
People say, we've all been through a terrible breakup. I think everyone in here has been through a horrible breakup, I'm sure, at some point in their life. And in the moment, you think, oh my gosh, this is the worst ever. And you go through all the stages and the anger and the grief and blah, blah, blah. But then looking back in retrospect, you're kind of, in a way, at least for me, I'm happy it happened because it does give you some strength.
Totally.
You're lack of better terms, you're not a pussy.
Yeah. And I don't think I could do what I do and help people if I hadn't been through so much myself. It gives me such a base to be able to, when I see something, to give them advice, in what they're going to do with what I just saw. And that's all because of the bad things that I've gone through.
So that's my whole philosophy with therapists and therapy. I want somebody who has gone through the fire and has gone through some shit.
Yeah.
To know how to if I'm sitting down talking to someone who's helping me with my well-being, and the worst thing they've ever gone through is they've had to do a lot of homework through college.
Right. Or they're like younger than you. You're like,
well, I mean, not to say a younger person can't go through bad stuff and get mature quick. I just think when somebody, and I'm not saying you didn't live a hard life. I'm not saying that, but like we talked about before, if you've gone through life and you've never lost a loved one, you don't know what that's like. You haven't, or if you've gone through life and you haven't had to take care of somebody who had a terrible illness that passed away, or you've seen your loved one die, your perspective is different than somebody who's not gone through that. I don't care what anyone says. You're not going to. I just don't think you're going to see the world.
Right.
You're totally right, because they've walked a mile in those shoes.
Nobody will see the world the same. Like, we're all in the same room, but we're all seeing this different.
Absolutely.
And the things we think about, the connections. Like, it's like Mario, man. Like, you get 3 lives. You go the first time, you get hit by the turtle, you die. The second time, you know not to get hit by the turtle. And you just keep trying to progress all the way till you get to the end.
And then you get Game Genie.
And then you cheat. Some people cheat.
They
Some
give
people
up.
try to get the points.
They realize that, I can't win, so it's time to cheat to get my goal.
Well, look at that. We were talking scammers earlier. They're cheating.
Oh, that's just, since the beginning of time.
Yeah. And you're totally right. Some of the best psychologists are former addicts for people that,
Oh,
yeah.
totally. That's how they get into it.
And I think some of the best coaches, like in sports, are former players, because the player coaches, those kind of people.
I can relate to people. I can relate to people who've struggled a little bit more than someone that hasn't.
And I think someone who has struggled and had those experiences, and this is something that some people have said about me, it's because when I hear something and I'm talking to someone, I have no judgment.
That's to me, that's the best. That's why he's my best friend. When you go through crap and you just see humans are humans and they're gonna mess up and make mistakes.
Right.
You're humbled. You're a humbled person. Humble people are awesome. When people are humble, they're not assholes.
Right.
Humble people and an asshole, I don't know if it can fit in the same thing. Have you ever met a humbled asshole? I don't know.
Yeah, it's an oxymoron.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's crazy. But yeah, no, all of that very, very insightful stuff.
We should go out and humble a bunch of assholes.
They'll want to fight, and then Denny's is going to have to kick their ass because he
I'll
is
have to
very
beat them
good.
all down. And
No, me and Denny's might be the worst fighters ever.
I'm like a rah-rah guy. I'll get you guys hyped. That's about it.
We're poets. We're artists. Come on.
I don't think I'm a good fighter either. Vicky might have to stick up for us.
You would
I have to call Bobby Joe. She got her back.
Bobby Joe. Do one of those psychic moves where like you throw a ball of fire off of them.
I wish.
Like you did in the
Like a psychic blast.
"Come to the light, my children" in our Weird and Whatever promo. I have a kind of a fun question. If you guys can't think of an answer right off the top of the dome, give me an answer anyway. What would be the song playing during the closing credits of your life? That kind of just says it all.
Closing credits.
Closing credits. Boom, Denny's. I can be deep too. Okay, don't everyone jump out at once.
I'll go first. Gonna be a real easy title. Closing time.
By
But-
Semisonics? Semisonics.
Closing time. Okay.
And actually, I used that when I had my radio show, my paranormal radio show. That was the last song I played on my last episode of my radio show.
Now, so it kind of sounds like you're being more tongue-in-cheek with a closing time
Right.
with like. So, okay, it doesn't have to be that. It can be a personal song too. Closing time, you
Yeah.
got it. I love it. I think it's great.
What are the rules on like, I mean, what if I name a song that's like so obscure?
No, you
everybody's
don't. This isn't cocktails and karaoke, buddy. You don't have to do the hits.
but nobody's into the song.
It's okay. No, well, I love that because someone who likes Denny's is gonna Google it and look it up. In fact, I love the obscure song.
I like it. So I got like 2. I
You
don't
only
know.
get
I
one.
didn't get all the rules in the beginning
You
here.
only get one.
I only get 1. All right, come back to me. I got to think.
Oh man, Beckett, what do you got?
I like them both equally as much.
I haven't thought of a good one. There's a song that makes me really like appreciate how work and life works out, and that's Darius Rucker sings a song called "This." Have you heard of that song?
Is that the one that goes?
And the dolphins make me cry.
Yeah. He just talks about he's like, every red light I missed, for that girl that broke my heart in high school. And he says, my mom passing away, he goes, I wouldn't take it all back because it led me here to this. And I just think everything kind of, I guess we're talking about the universe, not to sound too hippity-dippity.
Get hippity. I think you're talking to a couple of hippity.
That's when you get
You're in good,
hippity-dippity.
you're
It
in
just,
good company.
life just kind of works. That's the beauty of life, right? Like there's no
yeah,
template.
man.
And
Yeah. It's beautiful, man. Life is beautiful.
I've had these conversations so many times.
Oh, yeah. We've me and him had this conversation 3 times today.
I'm going to go Joey Cape minus.
Who?
Get
The
outta here. I
fuck
knew
is
it.
Joey
I knew I was
No,
gonna catch for that.
I'm just kidding with you, man.
Oh, they're dropping big names.
No, give Joey Cape and what's it called?
Minus.
Sing us a little.
So I think he goes minus the world, you'll find forgiveness. Minus the walls, you'll find yourself. It's kind of very much like taking things out of your life.
I love it. Very deep.
Yeah.
And yours?
What's Bird?
Mine is a song Joni Mitchell recorded called "Both Sides," and it is such a great song.
Oh, that's a good song.
And it really is. It talks about how it's so optimistic about looking at clouds when you first see clouds, and they're so fluffy and they're so beautiful. And then you can tell throughout the song, goes through life, and life kind of bats her down a little bit, and she doesn't look at clouds the same way, kind of like what we're talking about.
She's
looking
seen-
at things with a young set of eyes, and then going through it, looking at it with a different set of eyes. And she talks about the first verse is clouds. I love clouds. I love clouds. I don't see clouds like that anymore. Life. Oh, look at life. Life. I don't look at life like that. And love. Oh, look at love. Love. I don't look at love that way. So it's kind of like the yin and the yang of life.
Yeah, very balanced.
But at the end, she's very sad.
No, I think it's just the journey that we all go
just
through
that
in
she
life.
realizes she
Up
doesn't
and down.
see it the same.
It's never gonna. When you think you've got life beat, life's gonna knock you on your ass and say, "Okay, whatever." I just think we all, whether you're rich or whether you're poor, it's going to be different levels
Right.
of comfort and all of that stuff. And some people are going to suffer more. But at the end, as a human, the just journey of your mortality.
I don't think you can make it to the end without changing. I think it's impossible.
Well, you're going to change on some level.
Absolutely.
On some level.
Absolutely.
How about Sinatra? I Did It My Way. It's a pretty good one to close out too.
Oh, it's a great song.
It's not bad.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to start wrapping this up. Does anybody have anything else to add?
I kind of feel like I want to. I know we kind of give you a tough time about it, but I want. Would you rather?
I know. I feel we're incomplete without
You know what? If you guys want to give me a word, would you rather? I have no would you rather today. I don't.
Denny's, you have a good one for Jaybird?
Ooh.
Yeah, one of you guys turn the tables on me. Give me a top of the dome. Would you rather? I'd love to see. I'd love to see what you guys got.
No, I already attempted and they were lame, so I'm not doing it.
They
again.
weren't. There's no lame here. Well, I mean that's not true. But
So are these geared to you only, or?
no, just
For an open-
Yeah, let's get into it. Let's freeform this thing. We never freeform. We're always on such a schedule on KVJ. Let's bring it. Come on, you got the floor.
All right. Would you rather?
Oh boy. Okay, you guys, it's been a great podcast. Thank you guys.
I'm trying to
for-
think of one, man.
It's all good. You know what? I actually did have one more topic. Have you guys ever heard of people who feel other pain? Now, I'm not talking about emotions. I'm talking about literal. I punch Beckett and Vicky feels it, or I'm rubbing my arm and Vicky's feeling that. Have you ever heard of that?
I do when I give a reading. If someone has a physical ailment, I physically feel it.
That's a real medical condition too, where somebody can. It's rare,
Right.
but yeah, you rub and you feel.
I just read an article about a lady. She published a blog, like a day in her life, because she, I guess, was growing up with this, where you can sense people's pain. She said that she was working, and in the alley next door, a guy got punched in the alley, and she collapsed while working. It was like, hers was so severe, they said her receptors were through the roof. But anyway, she blogged through it, and she was talking about how she never knew how to diagnose it, because she would tell people this, and they're like, all right, come on, and she always got that her whole entire life. But evidently, it is a real thing, and I don't know how or why, but they have an over-empathize. There's some sort of secretion gland that has, like, the empathy, and they, like, over-secrete.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to shut it down like that,
No, that was great. No, I love it.
but... All right.
I love any podcast that we can end with secrete. I think that's great.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
No, the one thing I do want to bring up really quick. Have you all lived in this area the whole time, your whole life?
No.
So 26 years ago, in this area, there was a unsolved murder that happened. Rachel Hurley. Do you remember this case, Vicky?
The name sounds familiar.
It was in Jupiter by the Carlin Park area, and it was in the afternoon. You don't have to do that. Yeah, you can turn it down. It was at Carlin Park around 3:00 in the afternoon, and she was with her friends, and her friends were on the beach, and Rachel ran off, and they kind of looked the other way, and she was running to go meet her mom. This is in the daylight, and when they looked back up, not that long, she was gone and no one could find her. And I think within an hour, unfortunately, her body was found in the brush in Jupiter. It's been an unsolved case, and it's always bothered me greatly. And us being in the public eye, the anniversary is coming up on 26 years. I just want to put it out there. If anyone knows anything, if anyone has heard anything, if anyone's seen anything, please let the authorities know. Email the show, whatever. But
After the podcast, can you show me her picture?
Absolutely, I will. And the only reason why I'm bringing it up, it's been in the news a lot, so I would imagine they have the blessing of the family to talk about this. A lot of times what happens with these cold cases, they get forgotten about, and nobody talks about them. And I know if my loved one was missing or found, the way she was found, I'd want answers my entire life. So
Totally.
if anybody knows anything, I mean, it's been a cold case for a long time, and I was going to get you guys' opinions on maybe featuring one of those every so often. That's Palm Beach, Broward, local stories unsolved, just to get it out there.
Totally.
Yeah,
Why
I
not,
love it.
right?
100%.
I love it.
Okay, guys, thank you guys for listening. If you guys are out for St. Patty's Day, we're going to be out. We're going to be out everywhere, Denny's.
Yeah, 3 to 9. We'll be at Matthews Brewery
At 3.
at 3. Then the next stop is Brother Jimmy's in City Place. And then we'll finalize it at 7 o'clock over at the Pirates Well.
Love it. Okay, I hope to see you guys out there. We love you all, and Bigfoot is real.
What was that? What? What's that sound? It's aliens and they're living in your town. They have arrived.